Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I want to remind you to like and subscribe. It's youtube.com/film talk radio, and new shows air each week on KTRC. Today, we're joined by a very special guest, the creator and cartoonist for La Cucaracha, which ran many years in the Santa Fe, New Mexican. Everybody, this is
It,
Lalo
it,
Alcaraz.
isn't it still running?
Is it still running? You tell me,
Scare me,
Lalo.
man. Don't scare me like that.
So yeah, you could read his cartoon La Cucaracha in the Santa Fe, New Mexican. So pick up a copy.
There you go. There you
That'll
go.
sound better.
How's it going, man? How's it going? I'm
Oh, really good.
here.
I really appreciate you doing this. It's meaningful to me. I just think what you've done is so remarkable. When I was a kid, with Bill Watterson, Walt Disney, being a cartoonist was about the greatest thing you could be. So, could you start us early on? What sparked you? What is it within you that made you able to do this?
Sure. I usually my stock answer is not good at anything else. But it's really art runs in my DNA on my mom's side at least. And I learned from that side of the family in Mexico that the we have this ability to express ourselves and that we should use it. My family, they're my cousins who were amazing artists, could not make a living at it in Mexico, so they became CPAs, like steady work, right? And but they really taught me that we have this ability, so why not use it? I also kind of grew up on the border in San Diego and in California, and just kind of witnessed all kinds of bad things happening on the border and things happening to my immigrant parents, my parents from Mexico. And I lived it with them, the way that we were mistreated and treated like third-class citizens. And I hold a grudge for 1,000 lifetimes on that. So, but it's better to get it out by drawing comics or, whatever, making art. People ask me all the time, hey man, put me in one of your cartoons. I'm like, I don't think you want to be in one of my cartoons, because my job is to kind of take down people that deserve to be taken down. Like cartoonists are not supposed to punch down. We're supposed to at the worst punch laterally sometimes, but really you got to punch up, and take down people that have to be taken down a notch. Anybody abusing people, abusing their power, or just doing something that's not just.
Yeah, lampooning the powerful, I think, is rooted in the oldest roots of comedy, going all the way back to the court jester. Excuse me. So yeah, I mean, you've used it as a chance to lampoon the powerful and to make people think. As a writer, is meditation a part of it? How do you come up with these ideas? How do you clear your thoughts to be able to come up with these original ideas?
I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I I'm kind of a fire hose of ideas. I never have a problem coming up with another pitch. Um, they're not all, Oscar winning, Grammy winning, Emmy winning ideas, but many of them are pretty decent. And I don't have a problem with that ever. I'm permanently in that mode, which is why, my wife has to tell me to shut up once in a while. But sometimes I will hit a little patch where I just gotta go, get a moment of quiet, and that's usually in the bathroom.
David Morrell, the author of First Blood, the Rambo character on the show, And he talked about daydreaming, and I think that's perfect for a cartoonist. I think that's how you kind of get your start early on. Is daydreaming still a big part of it for you?
Yeah, I mean, I used to joke about that, and I think that's an old joke about, the artist sitting at a window looking outside, and their partner or spouse or whatever saying, why aren't you working? It's like, dear, I am working. I'm looking outside.
We are celebrating this year the 20th anniversary of his comic strip La Cucaracha. Lalo, tell us a little bit about what kind of milestone is that 20 years later?
Yeah, it's been you blink and 20 years have passed, and I barely realized a couple of months ago, like, oh, wait a minute, this is it. This is 20-year anniversary when I started the strip in 2002. And which, I had done a version of it called LA Cucaracha in the LA Weekly back when alternative weekly papers were really a thing. They're kind of so nowadays. All print stuff is a little, in decline, and so, total, people will say, I thought it was their 30-year anniversary. I'm like, well, pretty much, at least being published, regularly. But the daily strip, I wanted to focus on that because, it's chugging along. It's, it's not in 1,000 papers. I don't even think there's 1,000 papers left. And, but it gets the job done. And I wanted to, be seen as a, a little landmark and a personal landmark for me. And I hope that, people will review and say, well, not bad, good job. Look, it's a small miracle that, most comic strips don't last, daily strips in papers, they don't last past 2 years. So I already hit that times 10. So, that's something to cheer, I suppose.
No, I think that's real staying power.
Yeah, Santa Fe, New Mexican. Hats off to them for keep putting it in the paper. But yeah, I mean, in the 2000s, I mean, there was kind of a massacre of comics pages and newspapers, and it was really bad for comic strips, and I really lost tons of clients, and everybody did. But yeah, it's I plan on coming out with a best of book this fall, and then I'm not making a special announcement here, but the strip is under development with a major production company. We have a shopping agreement to develop the strip as an animated show. Now, it's only the 10th time I've tried it, so it's you never know. Might get lucky the 10th, 11th time. But we got some good people behind it, so I'll talk to you in a year and see if my characters are alive somewhere on streaming somewhere.
Yeah, what you said about the decline or when it was bad, I mean, I think Bloom County ended and then The Far Side ended. And it occurs to me you're probably heavily influenced by Gary Larson and The Far Side. But was Bloom County, was that one of your favorites?
Totally. When I was in college, and I went to San Diego State as an undergrad, studied art. I became, like most editorial cartoonists, we're always the college cartoonists, right? For the paper, one way or another, a strip or the editorial. I was doing the editorials. And back then, man, colleges used to run Bloom County, Doonesbury, and then college strips. I mean, that's how Doonesbury, Gary Trudeau got discovered. in college. You know, it was my syndicate that did it, Andrews McMeel, and the owners of it. You know, they were the ones that were his editors and stuff, and they took a chance on that. They took a chance on Boondocks, the comic strip. They took a chance on me, and they really were all about. They are all about, you know, diversity of thought and diversity of artists. So I mean, we have them to thank for Doonesbury. But yeah, that kind of college environment was really what opened my eyes to seeing a strip that was political, that had a ton of characters and was fun, which is Bloom County. And also you could just say that about Doonesbury. And I thought, well, I could do that. I think maybe one day. I don't know. Who knows?
Oh, I
And
think you
also when I was
did.
a kid, there was a strip called Gordo, which was the first ever comic strip by a Latino that was nationally syndicated in the US. And he was a Chicano from Tucson, Gus Arreola, who was that guy that was an animator and, you know, worked for Disney, Warner Brothers, you name it, you know, back in the 40s. You know, went off to World War II, came back, and had already started his strip. And it was about a Mexican taxi driver, you know, and his adventures. And it ran for, I mean, 30, 40 years. I forget how many years, like 40 years, I think. And I saw it as a kid. I would see it in the Sunday paper. I thought, what? Look at this. There's like all these brown characters in the comics. It's the only ones. You don't see any, you know, even Peanuts didn't have a Mexican character, right? Like they're making a big deal about Peanuts. I just came from San Diego Comic-Con. So my friend Rob Armstrong has a project called the Franklin Project, and it's about the Franklin, the little black kid that appeared in Peanuts, you know, and how revolutionary that was. And so he's starting like a fund in conjunction with the Peanuts people to you know, fund Black animation students and artists. And so, but yeah, you know, I would see, you know, nobody that looked like me in the comics except that one strip. And I thought even when I was a kid, like, another, you know, like maybe I could do that. And that's why it's important, you know, for us to do what we do, you know, because you never know what little kid's brain you're going to mess up.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're truly peerless in that light. You've done some recent work with Nickelodeon, or you're still working on a Nickelodeon project. Can you tell me a little bit?
Yeah, I in like when the pandemic started, 20, so around 2019, I think 18, 19, I got hired to work on a spin-off show called the Casa Grandes, and to kind of the ground level develop it with the creators and with Nickelodeon. And it was a show about a Mexican American family, a big extended family, kind of in the Midwest, or kind of in a Great Lakes city, which is like Chicago basically. And they have a mercado, a Mexican store, and it's a story of a little girl, Ronnie Ann, who moves with her mom and brother to the big city from the suburbs to the big city to be with the family. And it's all that comedy of like generational and big Mexican family kind of energy. And so we started that around, like I said, about a year and a half before the pandemic. And boom, 2020 came. Everything shut down, right? There was a lockdown everywhere in March. And pretty soon, and that Monday, we started going on Zoom, you know, resuming the production, and we didn't skip a beat. And we produced 3 seasons, you know, 2 more seasons of it, 3 seasons total of the Casa Grandes, just on Zoom. You know, the writers would write at home, and they would meet on Zoom and develop stuff and go off and write. And then the art departments would work at their desktops at home, and then the even because I get to oversee I'm the cultural consultant on this show and also a freelance writer on it. And I get to sit in on the recordings, right? So I can make sure everything's pronounced right and all that. So the actors worked out of their closets, or their fancy recording booths, but it was fascinating to kind of see how like this, animation did not skip a beat during the pandemic, for the most part. We were the one thing working in Hollywood, and live action just plummeted, and it was hard, hard to tape a show. There's so many restrictions or whatever, and they finally figured it out and started doing it, the trickle of live productions. But it's finally coming back. But I was very grateful that that I was not jobless during the pandemic, man. I was working my butt off for this show.
Well, yeah, everybody's due, I guess. Animation finally got some luck. Lalo, we were just talking about Nickelodeon.
Yes.
And you've got a ton of productions going on. Yeah, let me know.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the show, the Casa Grandes, was, I don't think it was a victim of the pandemic or anything, but did get canceled. But we did do 3 good seasons, and we might be working on another project to kind of wrap it all up. I'm not supposed to talk about it. Working on that now, but I'm also been fortunate to do. I guess it's a good sign of the times as a cultural consultant. I for Casa Grandes and for other projects, like I worked on Coco for Pixar as cultural consultant, and I get to review scripts or give feedback or whatever.
Great. Oh, great.
More,
Yeah, great job on Coco. That was true to the game. I imagine you had a hand in that.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I was part of a really great team, and we tried to bring in as many of the primos, as we could, and get as much feedback in. And Pixar did a great job of listening to us. We really got to be effective for that, and it was a super important project. That was going to last. I mean, it's about Mexican Day of the Dead. It's got to be done right. It can't be done carelessly. So these, I want my grandkids eventually to see it. They do not exist yet, but maybe one day. But so for Nickelodeon, I'm getting to do what I did for that and for Casagrandes and work on other productions and kind of freelance cultural consult on different shows. Like Rugrats or Monster High or the Santiago of the Seas, different shows. And what's great is, they're bringing more Latino characters into the mix, so that's good. Ideally, I wish there were Latinos on every writing staff, but there's not. And so we have to work towards that, and also work to have things be culturally competent. I mean, I can't watch a movie and hear a totally incorrect cultural element or see something that's ridiculous. Takes me out of the movie. And maybe I'm a little more stringent than your usual movie goer, but I think if you strive to make things excellent and correct and authentic, I mean, the buzzword in Hollywood is authenticity, right? So why not do it for everyone?
Well, yeah, I'm so glad you hooked up with Russell Contreras of Axios. He's a wild guy. Let's give a big shout
Yeah,
out to Russell.
yeah.
Can you tell us any more about him or any good stories?
Let me see. I mean, he would, in his previous gig working for a well-known news service, he would just say, you won't believe the story I was writing. I found, this this week, and he would tell us, and I'd be like, and I'm a history buff. I'm totally into Southwest history, Chicano history, Mexican history, border stuff. And these would be stories that I'd never heard. This guy could dig up really, really great stuff, about the West and Santa Fe Trail, just some incredible stuff. And pretty soon we kind of started manifesting these things, and people start coming to us with stories, and I want to tell stories about the West, the Santa Fe Trail, about Chicanos in World War II, and just lots of things, on top of doing some animation that's for kids, and doing some publishing for kids. As far as the cartooning, people expect me to do cartoons, which is fine. Ocho Villa, we actually started doing COVID messaging, right? Like anti-misinformation stuff and pro-vaccination stuff. We started doing animations. I started off doing editorial cartoons. That blew up into animations, and I finally got to direct my own animations, and started directing some little, 2-minute shorts and 30-second PSAs and stuff. And so they all count, man. I'm putting them on my IMDb.
Uh, I noticed Russell has become more. His activism is kind of bleeding out a little bit more with the new magazine that he's at.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're collaborating on with him?
No, I have him. I do have a long-running radio show called the Pocho Hour Power that is run on KPFK in LA for I lost track, man, almost as long as my comic strip, but about 17 years or so, maybe. And so Russell has become the Axios Latino newsletter correspondent for the show, and he's great and hilarious, and does what Axios does on the show, which is give these bullet point news things and tells you why they're important, and really a really good, quick but smart news analysis, for our busy listeners, right? So
You guys must be having a ton of fun with that.
oh, I love it. I love it. I mean, uh I know just about every Latino journalist in the US, and I get really good press, and that's why, like one article would turn into 10 articles. But so yeah, I have Russell on the show, and we also have Patricia Guadalupe, who is based in Washington, D.C., and she's a longtime reporter out there, and she gives us the report on Congress. And anyway, I don't want to do an ad for my radio show on your show, but
Oh no,
yeah,
that's okay. Where can people
Fridays,
listen?
Fridays at 3 o'clock LA time,
And that's
90.7 FM,
KPFK.
kpfk.org, live streaming all over the planet. And it's archived too. We do really great. We have really good interviews with all kinds of people that you wouldn't expect on a Chicano satirical radio show, but we do have we had pretty good folks on there, and I just go check it out or whatever. But I want to give another real quick shout out to my cartoonist buddy, Ricardo Cate, of Without Reservations, who he's a longtime friend. And I collect his paintings. I urge everyone to buy his little paintings that he has at the marketplace. And he's a local karaoke hero in Santa Fe. He's a karaoke superstar. He
Yeah,
came to my house out in LA, and he's like, okay, after dinner, he's like, so where's the karaoke spots? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea, man.
Lalo, tell us a little bit more about Pocho Villa and what kind of projects you're working on, some of the people you're working with.
Sure. There's, it's, I back to Doonesbury real fast. There was
Oh
one
yeah.
day where I saw that Gary Trudeau was doing, I think it was it on Amazon? He's doing a political sitcom on there. And I was like, this is years ago. And I was like, I really gotta get into television and film. Like I can write, like I have a point of view. And, I think that's, it's a not unheard of. We were talking about Aaron Magruder and all the projects, I mean, he worked on quite a few projects. The one that really sticks out is the Red Tails, like the Tuskegee Airmen film.
Oh, wow.
He was a writer on that. And because of Aaron, I got to meet Carl Jones, who worked on Boondocks with him. Boondocks, the great animated version of the comic strip, and just like really put the bar up there for like hard hitting cartoon shows. I actually worked. I forgot. I worked on a show. I wrote the first season, the only season, show called Border Town on Fox. It was
Oh, yeah.
yeah, Seth MacFarlane executive produced it, and I learned so much. They hired myself, Gustavo Arellano, who writes Ask a Mex, who used to write Ask a Mexican. The people might know him through that. He writes that for the LA Times now, and three other Latino writers in a room of like Simpsons, Family Guy veterans. And it was like boot camp. It was an amazing experience to get to write a network TV show for a season. But alas, our show was too precious and probably a little too political for Fox.
Everybody, this was Lalo Alcaraz. He's of Pancho Villa Productions.
Ocho.
Oh, let's try that again. Everybody, this was Lalo Alcaraz. He's of Pocho Villa Productions, and you can check out his comic strip if you don't know it already. It's the 20th anniversary of La Cucaracha, and it's in the Santa Fe New Mexican. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.